Hey, what's up, guys? David Cash Toes here. Today I'm going to do a quick case study on a client who has been with me since January. I'm not going to disclose the name or the company location, but I will say that they're in a very highly populated area and there's a lot of search volume for towing keywords. They do provide towing and roadside assistance, but they only wanted to run ads for the towing side of the business, which is understandable because that's typically where most of the money is. The good thing with this company is that budget was not really a concern for them as long as they were getting phone calls, which is a pretty good mindset to have, in my opinion. If you're not afraid to spend, $3, $4, $5,000 a month in ad spend, you should expect to get a return on your money, obviously. They've been with me since January. They were working with another marketing company, but unfortunately, they didn't feel like they were getting the results that they wanted or expected. Frankly, I don't think the other marketing company knew what they were doing, just based upon what I had seen within the account. And because of that, he decided to take it upon himself and create his own campaign, which unfortunately, he didn't configure correctly. So the data within that campaign is a little bit skewed, and he obviously didn't get the results he was looking for there either. Luckily, he did reach out and he had the budget that I was able to work with, and we made it work. Like I said, he's been with me since January, so we're coming up on almost a year here. But let's jump into the account and I'll kind of show you what we got going on here. So here's the month of December, the month right before he reached out and we started working together. As you can see, the previous marketing company had created this Performance Max campaign. He went ahead and created his own campaign after their campaign wasn't performing. Not sure what the roadside assistance campaign is all about, but it's there. And then here's the campaign that I ultimately created, but was not running at that time. So there's no data within this campaign. All right, so let's first talk about this Performance Max campaign. The Performance Max campaigns show ads all across Google and all of its products. Like your ad will even show up on YouTube. And that's not where you want to be when somebody's broken down on the side of the road. You're looking for a phone call when they need help right now. If you're looking to generate more brand awareness, then maybe the Performance Max campaign could possibly work. But I've maybe got some opposing views towards marketing for brand awareness, but that's for a whole nother video. All right, so this Performance Max campaign generated almost 50,000 impressions. Click-through rating wasn't great. The average cost per click would be sweet if we could actually generate calls at that price, but that's not realistic. The conversions that were recorded, I don't know if those are phone calls. I mean, it shows local store visits and promotions. I'd be willing to bet they're not phone calls, especially considering that his ads could be showing up on, like I said, YouTube. If his cost per conversion is 89 cents, that would be so sweet if that was an actual phone call, but unfortunately that's not what it was. Had my client been generating 400 conversions a month, he wouldn't have called me. He would have been more than content with that. In fact, I'm actually generating him a little over 200 and he's tapping out. He can't take any more calls. So that's why I believe that this is a skewed number. But because this wasn't working, he went out and created this campaign himself, which this campaign he only had one ad group in, which is probably part of the reason the campaign didn't work out as expected. He spent $2,000 that month and generated 0 phone calls. He had over 600 clicks and 104 invalid clicks. The cost per click was nice. I like that cost per click, but the click-through rating is not the greatest, and obviously with no phone calls recorded, the conversion rate is dismal to say the least. This is why it's so important to have your conversion tracking set up correctly. Because if Google doesn't have the data, the algorithm's not going to be able to optimize. How many phone calls did this campaign actually generate? We're not going to know because he didn't have his conversion tracking set up. And to add to that, he didn't have any sort of dispatch software where he was keeping track of his calls. Got to have that set up. It's super important. Like I said, I don't know what the roadside assistance was all about, but we're just going to leave that there. And then here's my campaign that I didn't set up until the following month, which was January. First, you'll see that he finally recorded the one conversion, so he must have had some sort of conversion tracking set up, but it still wasn't accurate because he got almost 600 clicks again and ended up spending nearly $2,000 for that one conversion. The Performance Max campaign went from 404 conversions a month down to 84, and then I created my campaign. I only generated 166 clicks. My click-through rating was almost 8%, which isn't horrible, but it's not the greatest. Average cost per click is nice. Only spent $500, but we only got 7 calls, which led to a cost per conversion of almost $76. This conversion rate is horrible. That was the first month he was with me. Why did this happen? Because his campaign and my campaign were, for the most part, set up the same. They were fighting against each other. And because Google's a greedy pig, they spent way more money on his campaign because they knew it wasn't going to perform as well. And the way his campaign was configured, it allowed Google to burn up his budget. It's not good to have two campaigns that target the same location, the same keywords, the same ad copy, everything the same. They're just going to fight against each other. And that's exactly what happened. And to prove my point, after we went through January, we spoke at the end of the month and I said, hey, look, like these campaigns are fighting against each other. Let's just pause the other campaign and let's just run my campaign for this next month. And we'll look at the data the following month. And if things don't improve, we'll come up with a new strategy. So the following month was February. And you'll see right away, my click-through rate increased. So we'll take February and we'll compare it to January. And that way you can see the performance between January and February. So right away, you'll see the clicks increase by 80%, impressions increase by 10%, click-through rating increased by 63%. And yeah, the cost per click went to the moon. It increased over 200%. But like I said, he's in a really highly populated area, and there's a ton of competition in this area. So it's natural to see cost per click get to be this high. We ended up spending a little over $3,000 a month, which really isn't much more than what he was spending before. And I've got him 131 calls. Are these quality cash paying customers? There's really no way to tell, but these are actual phone calls where people called his business. There's no way to tell how many calls he actually locked down from those 131 phone calls. I just know because he told me that things have definitely improved. He's seen way better results than he had the previous 2 months. This cost per conversion is a little high. It's over $23. But the first couple months, we just want to generate some data and get the ball rolling and try to optimize the campaign. After we start getting some data and Google sees what our conversion actions are and the kind of the leads that we want to generate, then it continues to learn, and then we switch the bid strategy over to max conversions. This search impression share isn't that great, but like I said, when the first 30 days, the campaign is pretty restricted. I don't want Google to just run away with the budget and get random clicks for no return on your money. You know, like the first month, this guy wanted, he was unsure of what I was going to be able to do. Luckily, I was able to talk him into just let me run this campaign for a month. And he basically just gave me the keys to his ads account and trusted me. And, like I said, the first month or two, even 3 months sometimes. It depends on the account. Every account is different. Let's jump over to March now. So when I manage an account and create a new campaign, especially the first week or two, I'm in the account every day, targeting negative keywords and making sure everything's running properly. I'm just going in and making like daily, weekly, monthly optimizations within the account. So after our first month, after that last month of February, I did my optimizations, and then the following month, March, these were the results from the optimizations. Our clicks increased, our impressions increased, but unfortunately our clicks didn't increase the same amount as our impressions did. So our click-through rating did drop a little bit, 5%. But I mean, we've got nearly a 12% click-through rating, which is pretty good. And because of the optimizations and the negative keywords that I kept adding to the list, I was able to drop the cost per click a little bit by 25%. $7.45 really isn't too bad of a cost per click in his area. I was able to maintain the cost right around $3,000 a month. And by doing that, I was able to increase his conversions. I got him 9 more conversions, which ended up being almost 7%. Our conversion rate did take a little bit of a hit, and that's because of the click-through rating. But again, there's still more optimizations to be made. Now let's jump to April and compare that to March. Now we really get the ball rolling. So now we increased our click-through rating by 3%, so we're back up to almost 12. Our cost per click did jump a little bit, but we're still in, $7, $8 range. Our cost did increase. They ended up spending almost $300 more that month, but the conversions shot up to nearly 200 calls a month, 37.96%. Our cost per conversion is just over $17, and our conversion rate just went to the 45% conversion rate. It's not a bad conversion rate. Invalid clicks. At this time, I was running ClickSees. I no longer run ClickSees as a click fraud software anymore. I don't run any click fraud software. Google's got their own internal click fraud software, and you don't get refunded for the click fraud anyway. Google, even if you submit the click fraud report from your click fraud software, Google's not going to reimburse you. The only reimbursement you'll see is from these invalid clicks that Google's internal software detects. But yeah, this is the month of April. I believe he's only got 2 trucks. I think it's only like him and maybe another family member, I believe, if I remember right. So not a very big company. Let's check out May and compare that to April. There we go. Now we hit over 200. 200 phone calls a month at $15.76 per conversion, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, our click-through rating took a little bit of a hit, but you're going to see ups and downs. It's month to month. You're going to have good months. You're going to have bad months. It's just the way it is. It's no different than you seeing a slowdown in your business every month. I see it online all the time. Are you guys slow? I'm slow. It's just some weeks are better than others. Weather plays a huge impact on whether you're going to be busy or not. The best part of this is we're still only at about $3,000 a month. For that same amount of money, he's getting almost double the conversions the first month. Let's see what June did. Let's see what happened in June. Still 204 conversions. Our cost per conversion went up a little bit. Cost per click went up a little bit. But our click-through rating's still at 12%, which is nice. We're almost hitting 50% conversion rate. But like I said, that's not my KPI. My KPI is right here. I want to make sure that we're getting the lowest price for every call. I don't care how many clicks. I don't care about the cost per click. Right here is what I care about. This number, and then secondly, this number. I want to make sure we've got enough volume, but at the same time, I want to make sure we're not spending too much for that volume. Let's jump to July. 230 conversions that month. Our cost per conversion is increasing a little bit. We finally hit over 12% as a click-through rating, and we still haven't hit 50% yet. And honestly, most of my accounts hover right around, just right in the 40s usually. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching, and stay safe out there.